The Dutch and British governments have issued formal apologies for their separate roles in forcing thousands of women and girls to give up their babies for adoption, a practice that played out across nearly 3 decades in the second half of the 20th century. In the Netherlands, the apology came in direct response to a government commission report published in June 2025. Drawn up by an independent committee of inquiry, the report put a number to the scale of what happened: an estimated 13,000 to 14,000 mothers, and more than 15,000 children, experienced what the committee described as significant and long-lasting harm between 1956 and 1984. Claudia van Bruggen, the Dutch State Secretary for Justice, delivered the formal apology at a gathering of affected parents and their children held in The Hague. Her words were direct. "At what was probably the most vulnerable moment of your lives," she said, "you were stripped of control over your lives and your child was taken away from you." She acknowledged government culpability plainly. "The government paid far too little attention to your extremely vulnerable and dire situation. The government failed you. On behalf of the entire cabinet, I offer you my sincere apologies." The report laid out the social context behind the practice. Unmarried pregnant women and girls, at a time when pregnancies out of wedlock were considered deeply shameful, were pressured by their parents, doctors, social workers, and psychiatrists to relinquish their children. Adoption was legalized in the Netherlands in 1956, and the practice continued until 1984, when abortion was fully legalized and the social stigma surrounding unmarried pregnancies had begun to soften. By then, the number of domestic adoptions had already declined sharply, driven in part by the wider availability of contraception. Women who spoke to the committee described experiences that never left them. Some were sent to facilities far from home and had their babies taken away immediately after birth. Others were pressured into signing documents that led them to believe the separation was permanent, even though they had the legal right to reverse that decision for several years. The committee found that their trauma was deepened by years of enforced silence, the product of a taboo that kept many from ever speaking about what they had been through. The report was unambiguous in its conclusion: the practice caused great sorrow and anger and often resulted in lifelong damage for both parents and children. The Netherlands is not alone in confronting this chapter of recent history. Forced relinquishment of children by unmarried mothers was common across the Western world from the mid-1940s onward. Australia issued a national apology in 2013, and Ireland followed in 2018. Now the Netherlands and the United Kingdom have joined that reckoning. The British government's apology came on the same day as the Dutch one. Prime Minister Keir Starmer met with survivors earlier that day, and the Church of England had already offered its own apology the month before. For the tens of thousands of people affected, mothers who never stopped wondering, and children who grew up searching for answers, these apologies are long overdue. Thanks for listening.